Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today I will be doing my foundation routine for dry skin. I find that in the transitional periods from like winter to spring, which is what we're in right now, my skin does get a little more dry than usual. Like I'm already like this Sahara desert, but it just gets slightly more dry than normal to the point where my foundation starts to settle into my dry patches right around my mouth and my nose right here. So I have been testing out ways to keep my skin hydrated the other day, and this is what I wanted to show you guys because I finally, I think, perfected it. But let's just get into this video and let's get into the dewy skin. Okay, the first thing that is most important about keeping skin hydrated and dewy throughout the day is moisturizing it and skincare. So I actually recently picked this up. This is the Smashbox Primer Water from the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, and I thought this was a gimmick at first, but really I think it sets my skin so nicely. It even smells like it has some kind of chemical to keep it nice and dewy throughout the day. So I'm just going to spray a bit of this on my face. And I kind of spray a little bit more around my mouth area because that is where I get the driest. And as you can see, it just, first of all, the sprayer on this, like, how satisfying. But this really keeps my skin nice and hydrated. It's the perfect first prep. So then I just let that sink into the skin, and I do press it down a bit because I feel like not that my hands are warm, but the warmth from my fingertips helps it better to push into the skin. So we're already starting off with a dewy base here, but then I add two more moisturizers. So the first one is from Formula 10.0.6. This is the Thirst No More moisturizer. I have repurchased this probably 8 to 10 times. I love this stuff so much, and it really does help moisturize and prep my skin for the longevity of the days that I have. So I usually just squeeze a few pumps into my hands and kind of dot that all over my face, and then I just begin to rub this in on top of the primer water that we already have. So once we have that all nice and put into the skin, I really feel like I'm moisturized, but I still go one step further because I know my skin and it will just drink this up and will leave me feeling dry as all get out throughout the day. I will just be taking this Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel, and I just take a little bit of this. It's in like a can, and it's a gel moisturizer. I used to use the Tarte H2O moisturizer, but this one works just as well, and this one is like $20 cheaper. And I'm just pushing that into my skin again on top of the other two moisturizers just to give my skin the nicest possible moisturized base before we go in with makeup. Also, when there's areas of my skin like my mouth and nose that I know get super dry, I just really press that and work that into that area to hopefully retain some of the moisture there. So it is all moisturized up, but it is still a bit wet because we added so much moisturizer. So I just like to let it sit and just fan my face to get everything to set into my face. Okay, so now that our moisturizer is put onto our face and our skincare is prepped, we can already see I'm very dewy and glowy and hydrated, and we're just going to go in with a hydrating primer as well. I have been loving the Becca First Light Priming Filter because this hydrates as well as gives just a little bit of a glow to the skin. So it helps to make the skin look dewy even when we have makeup over it, and also hydrate the skin even further. Okay, so now that our skin is all primed and prepped and ready, we're going to move on to foundation. And the foundation I'm going to be using is a dewy foundation. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Cushion Foundation. I am in the shade Light Ivory. And cushion foundations are normally more hydrating and dewy than regular foundations. I like to stay away from matte foundations in the transitional periods of the year because that just does not help my skin at all. It makes it so much worse. So I find that when I do this prep, this foundation does stay on my face for quite a bit of time and it looks nice throughout the day. So I'm just going to take a damp beauty blender. This is the L'Oreal sponge, and I want a damp sponge for this just to further get the moisture onto my face. So I'm just dipping this in a few times and just starting to work this over my face. I am going to just build this up a bit on my cheeks and on my nose because I have hyperpigmentation there, and we're just going to kind of cover that as best as possible. So that is my skin with the foundation on. I think it looks really nice. You can see the dewiness, the hydration. It just looks really, really good. And this is great because since we don't want to mattify it too much, having a nice hydrating foundation works really well. Next step is concealer, but before I do concealer, I'm going to go in with my Becca Under Eye Corrector because I have some dark circles. School does that to people. I don't know if anyone else is in college, but wow, is it so stressful. So you just want to hide the stress with this. And this is also not mattifying. It's very dewy and reflective, so it makes the under eyes look dewy and reflective as well. Okay, so now that my under eyes are all ready, I'm going to go in with concealers, and I like to use two different concealers mixed together. This is the Naked Skin Concealer by Urban Decay, and this is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer. They're both in the shade Fair Neutral, though this one definitely pulls more yellow and this one definitely pulls more pink, so I like to mix them on my face. And both of the concealers are very hydrating, so they don't make my under eyes look matte and cakey and weird on top of my nice glowy skin. Then I'm going back with my beauty blender and I'm just blending this all out. I feel like anytime I watch beauty gurus like blend out their under eye concealer, they never look as crazy as I do. And I let the concealer stick on my nose a little bit longer because I do have some hyperpigmentation there. So I really just press this into the skin around those areas and try not to swipe at all, just so my nose looks the least amount of red that it can. Okay, so now that our foundation and concealer are done, I'm going to go in with a bit of powder. I will stress not to use a mattifying setting powder. I'm instead going in with the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder in the shade Light. I find that even though this is like a setting powder, it doesn't make my whole face look matte, which is what I want. I'm just going to concentrate this underneath my eyes and on my nose because these are the places where my foundation comes off a lot on my nose, so I just like to combat that as any way possible by putting setting powder on there. And I have to lightly bake my under eyes because I have a lot of creasing there. So this is then the base for our face, and this is how I do my foundation. Now I'm picking bronzers and blushes and other things. I do like to stray toward a matte bronzer and a powder bronzer, but I do have a Wet n Wild bronzer, the Mega Cushion bronzer actually, in the shade Cafe au Lait, and that is a really good option if you want to continue with the dewy skin. But for now, I'm just going to go in with my powder product. So I'm using the Colourpop Private Party bronzer. Then I'm taking the Pretty Vulgar blush in the shade Hush Blush. And then I'm going to go in with my highlighter. Recently I have been loving the Ofra Cosmetics and Nikkitutorials Everglow highlighter. I have been mixing the lightest two shades and dusting them on top of my cheekbones. I feel this gives a really glassy effect to the skin, and it gives it a really hydrated, dewy look, even though it is a powder product. I am looking on the search, on the hunt, for the best cream highlighter. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them down below. And I do like to add a bit of highlighter right up here. So I'm looking so glowy and so dewy. Alright, I'm going to go do my eyebrows and my eyes off camera, and I'll come back to see you guys later. Okay guys, that completes this video. I just popped on some Decay lipstick and a bit of Colourpop eyeshadow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in my next video.